So we have today Vincent Pastore, playwright, very accomplished actor. The Sopranos, Goodfellas, Carlito's Way. You're on General Hospital, Law and Order, the Gotti film, Two Family House, a bunch of reality shows, the Wu-Tang Clan series, and it keeps on going. You've got almost 200 credits, acting credits to your name. It's amazing, and I love your work ethic. It's very important. You take the art seriously, which is number one in my book. What I love watching you is that you make it look effortless. You're acting. It's just like you're talking to me right now. You know, it's just like talking, and it's not. Of course, it's work. So, and you're going to be 78. So you're 2 years younger than my dad, almost. My dad's your brother's age. So and it's funny. You look like one of my family members, and you talk like them too. But a friend of mine was involved with Spinning Gold. I want to talk to that in a minute. But first, I want to talk about what you're doing now. First, north of Coney Island, Gravesend, with William DeMeo and Chazz and everybody.
Yeah, we're going back to season 3 this summer.
Uh-huh.
My crew is Chazz is the Don, I'm the consigliere, and Tony Darrow is the underboss. And as we ended season 2, there was a lot of conflict with Willie's crew.
Uh-huh.
And Willie's a sweetheart. I know him from the beginning when
Really?
he started. Yeah, I was doing Thing of Oz with Jimmy Conn, Danny Provenzano, and Willie showed up, and he came to the set, and that was right after I was done with Sopranos, after I got killed. So that's how long I know the guy, and he
Oh,
puts
wow.
me in. Yeah, he's a good actor, and he's a good producer and a good writer.
Uh-huh. Right. Yeah, it's
So
a
I look
solid
forward-
series. It's interesting.
Right. And what I just finished doing
Uh-huh.
is a friend of mine, his name is Jeff Holman from Florida. He wrote a screenplay, and I got my actors together, actors that I work with, and we just did a reading for investors last Thursday night down in the city, and he's excited. So, we're all still trying to find some work out there.
That's good. That's good. And you're also you're doing something with Michael and Steven, the Sopranos Talks.
Yeah, we want to run it. We've been doing it before COVID. We've been doing this show, me, Michael, and Steven, and Joey Cola. We call it Comedy and Conversations with the Sopranos. Now, because Michael went to Broadway, he's doing Broadway Animated People.
Uh-huh.
We had to postpone a lot of shows, and the next show that we're doing actually is next Sunday, April 7th, I think, but it's sold out.
Okay.
It's
good.
Montclair, New Jersey, but it's sold out because it's a rescheduled show,
Mm-hmm.
and we don't know how long Michael's going to be on Broadway with this play, so it's hard to book,
Right.
You don't know with Broadway.
Right.
With Michael, yeah.
Yeah.
So it's hard to book. But I'm happy to see him doing a Broadway show. I loved Broadway when I did Bullets Over Broadway, and when I did Chicago. I love the audience. I love the excitement of a different audience every time you get up there.
Right. And of course the play, you sent me the script, so you're still doing that kind of work too.
I sent you my script.
Yes.
I didn't send you Michael's script.
No, your script.
My script, which
Yes.
I've been working I already put it up twice.
Uh-huh.
I put it up with Paul Bugasi up at the Drilling Company, and up at Nyack, and now I did it at the Cutting Room, and now I think I want to go all the way now. Why not?
Okay.
Put it up as a Broadway play.
Wow, that's great. That's incredible.
Yeah.
It's funny. It's really funny too.
I just Michael, I just finished talking to Debbie DeLisa. She runs the Wonder Bar.
Uh-huh.
And we just booked. We don't know what Tuesday night, but we're going to do a Tuesday night in August down at the Wonder Bar, because I feel that this place, since it's about rock and roll and about the '80s and about the music scene, that it belongs in venues that have music, like the Cutting Room, Wonder Bar, places like that.
Right.
And then you bring it to a legitimate theater with 90 seats and stuff. But I like to get the kinks out first.
Right.
And I like to see, when we do a performance at these bars, we don't have a setup there.
Uh-huh.
we're not off book. We're walking out with the script, we're reading it.
Right.
Then when you do an equity showcase, you're off book, and then off Broadway, then you're off book. But it's a good experience for me. The only problem is I have a problem. I keep changing the ending.
Oh, really? Okay.
David Chase had 4 different endings, and nobody knows, but he shot them.
Well, I'll tell you, he picked the right one.
He shot alternate endings.
Wow. That's great. Yeah, well, he picked the right one for that.
Yeah, he picked the right one. People are still talking about it. You know, kids are getting up. They're binge watching Sopranos. You know, it's funny. We were doing that comedy and conversation show down in Washington, and we were worried that we weren't going to do well because we were kind of booked in this. I don't want to call it a yuppie neighborhood, but even my daughter said that's not your market. Where we were booked in Washington, and ironically, we sold out. And what I did is I invited my granddaughter, who's 11 years old, and she's not even allowed to watch anything except for Shark Tale.
Right, right.
So I said to my daughter, we're going to curse a lot. She said, that's okay. I says, okay. I don't want to hear nothing. I don't want to hear nothing. So, my grand doesn't know why people ask me when we go out for an autograph or a picture. She doesn't get it. She doesn't understand that because she doesn't watch. So after the thing, I said to my daughter, come on stage. And my daughter met Michael and Sirico, and we were taking pictures. And she looking up at me, and we were walking out holding hands. I said, so you think you want to be an actor now? She said, yeah. So the next day, we were having brunch, and Malik from New York Undercover was sitting right across from me because family's from Washington, Malik Yobin. And I said to Malik, what are you doing? He says, look, is that you, Vinny, with white hair? And every other word out of his mouth was F-U-C-K. He was saying, what's your name, Maya? Your grandpa's either F and that. So when he left, my daughter said, boy, did Maya just get an education on language. Oh, what are you going to do? That's how people talk.
Right. Oh, that's funny. Hey,
some people talk.
Right. Hey, you're also doing Gangster Squad this summer too, right?
Well, that's my band. That comes out of the Crazy Horse.
Right.
The musicians that played back there still play with me. Benny Harrison, Al Olo, Eddie, the same guys.
And you knew these guys? You knew these guys from the club days?
Yeah, they're the same guys.
Oh, that's great. Cool.
First, we were calling it the All Stars. And I was over Broadway. And I'm downstairs in the wing with Nick Cadero. And Nicky said, you should change the name of your band. And I said, you said to the Gangsters. I said, wow, I just watched that movie last night with everybody, the Gangster Squad.
Yeah,
so
right.
We named Squad from the Sean Penn movie.
That's a good name.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah. Some of the venues give me a hard time about if I say Big Pussy's Gangster Squad. Because they don't want to hear. So then we say Vinny Pastore. Some venues don't want to advertise Big Pussies.
Well, he got the name because he was a cat burglar. That's where it came from, right?
Yeah. When we auditioned for Sopranos, me, Tony Sirico, and Dominic went in on the same day. You're sitting in and we all read for the role of Sal. His name was Sal, the breakdown. So, and Dominic Chianese looked like the real Big Pussy.
Oh, wow.
Oh, yeah.
Wow.
And we all read for it. And what happened, what was great, that the 3 of us were brought in by Georgiana Walken, and we all walked out with work. But we didn't even have callbacks. Me, Sirico, Dominic, boom. We just...
Really?
David kind of knew when we walked in, okay, I'm going to make this guy Uncle Junior. And then he went to Sirico, and he said, quote unquote, because I was there. He says, "How far can you go back and tell me about really happened?" And Sirico said, "I ain't no rat." But in reality, he kind of became David's technical advisor.
Oh yeah.
He would go up to David and say, "You don't do it that way. No, 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 no."
Well, how much room did you guys have for improvisation when you were acting? Was none? You know, that's fascinating because I was reading about the script. It was tight, right? What David wrote, that's what you guys had to do, right?
Right. The only time we improvised was in episode 1. There was a little room for improvisation.
Right.
But once we moved on, I remember we were doing a scene at the Bada Bing. It was me, Tony, little Steven, and this big guy that was a friend of ours. His name was Mike Scutch, and he was sitting at the table, and he kept improvising. So Sirico kept saying, "Look, you can't improvise on this show. Shut up," you know.
Wow. Yeah, I read this great quote.
And shut up. And he wouldn't. He kept improvising. Finally, David Chase came up and said, "Listen, you don't start improvising. I'm sending you home."
Wow. Yeah, I read David was interviewed, I think, by the Hollywood Reporter, and he said that he had this vision in his head and he hired all these writers. And what the writers on the set were doing, they were writing from what they saw in mafia movies and on TV. And he's like, "No, this doesn't cut it. You got to write from real life," which I really loved about it. Because like I think even with songwriting, you don't want to write like a song like another song you've heard. It just doesn't come out true. But if you're writing your gut feelings, that's it. And David was writing what he saw in his head. And he also said when he was writing The Sopranos, it was almost like improv when it was coming out. He'd write very quickly all these scenes, all these sketches, they'd come all out. He'd storyboard them, get them together. But then he would put it together and it was basically him. And when that script was done, from what I understood, there's no going off of it. So that's pretty fascinating. So you guys were truly acting and you were doing what David's vision, what he had in his vision in his head.
Yeah, yeah. I always tell him I appreciate the work he gave me in season 2. But what I don't appreciate is that they went on to be one of the most successful shows in TV history, and I was out of work.
Oh, yeah, interesting. Wow. Yeah, because after you were whacked, you were on 4 times as a flashback.
4 times over 10 years.
Yeah, over 10 years. Yeah.
I don't pay you, Bill. No, so I went out to California, and I was living on Washington Boulevard.
Uh-huh.
And I wind up getting on the practice with David Kelly.
Uh-huh.
And I wind up actually going over to Guy Ritchie's house on Sunset Boulevard, and he hired me for Revolver.
Uh-huh.
I did Maid with Favreau and Deuces Wild. So going to LA was great because I was the first guy from that show that was available.
Oh, that's interesting. Yeah, I never looked at it that way. You're right.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, you were probably, that's something. Because then you were on Blue Bloods once, and the Hawaii Five-0 reboot. You were Uncle Vito.
So the Hawaii Five-0 was ironic because it was written for Tony Sirico because Tony was very close with Jimmy Caan and Scotty Caan, and Tony, God bless him, I miss him, I love him. Towards the end, he couldn't memorize anymore.
Oh.
His agent or his manager, Bob McGowan, and I, we had the same manager. Bobby called me up and they said, "Can you get out to Hawaii to do this?" And I said, "Yes." And what was funny, the first scene we shot, my character's supposed to be on the beach with those visors that Tony always had.
Yeah, yeah.
And Scotty was walking down with the other guy, the beach, and he says, "Hey, Uncle Tony," and I dropped the screen, and Scotty didn't know it was me.
Oh my gosh! And
he said, right out of character, "Where's Tony?" I said, "You got me. Let's go back to 1." That was so funny. Said, "Where's Tony?" I said, "You got me."
That's great.
But Tony was very close with Jimmy, but Jimmy was from Queens.
Okay.
Uh-huh. Yeah, and did you watch The Offer? The story about the making of The Godfather?
No.
Well, if you watch The Offer, then you know what was going on out in LA back then.
Okay. I heard some stuff that was going on back then, though. I do know.
Yeah, just in The Offer, Albert Ruddy had to come to New York to straighten everything out. Anyway, enough about that. Let's talk about
Okay.
us.
Okay. Well, some other people passed too, Frank Vincent and of course Jimmy and um but it's great that the three of you guys are still going on talking and doing those shows and taking it. Another interesting point on this is in the pilot, you're helping Christopher or Big Pussy's helping Christopher take a body burrito out, and that's how it ends with you too.
That
in the
was
next season. Mm-hmm.
That scene was improvisation.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because we couldn't get the body bag into the thing. The props girl,
mm-hmm.
we knew her from other shows. She thought
mm-hmm.
she was breaking her chop. We couldn't lift. That's when I looked at him and I said, F this, let's take it over to Staten, blah, blah, blah. And they followed us. We were in the trunk of the car and we drove off, and that's what's in the pilot.
Oh, wow. Yeah, right.
But she got fired.
Hey, also Cleveland Auto Body. That's a connection for us here in Cleveland, Ohio. Where Sal's Auto Place, the sign Cleveland Auto Body.
I don't know about that. You're looking into it too.
Hey, yeah, and you killed Elvis too. That was brutal.
Yeah, I know. I know.
But I guess we can talk about it now because we're both wearing wires. I want to talk about something else too. A friend of mine was doing publicity for this though. So Spinning Gold, it came out almost a year ago, March 31st last year. So we were talking, so it's been a while, but you played the role of Big Joey, the casino guy, the boss.
Yeah, what happened is that actually Sirico was offered the role.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, he couldn't do it. So this is the way we are. So Steven Zarmucci and Vinny.
Uh-huh.
And they got in touch with me. And what happened is that Richard Dreyfuss was playing the record producer, I forget his name. And Richard wasn't doing well, so they condensed his role with mine, and they made me more like, like I'm overseeing him, I'm trying to do him, we shot that all in Nutley, New Jersey on a soundstage with the blue screen in the back. But when you watch it, you think I was in LA and you think I was in Vegas.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it looks great.
Funny story. Neil Bogart's mother is a very, very, or Neil Bogart's wife, which was Timmy's mother. She's a very prominent person in LA, in the hills. And she's friends with my friend, Talia Shire. So Talia calls me up. I swear to God. She said, "You're making a movie about Neil's wife?" I said, "Yes." She said, "You better not talk bad about her." I said, "Talia, I'm not talking bad about her." So I said, "I'll straighten this out." So the next day I'm on the set, and I go over. I said, "Is your mother here?" To Bogart. "Yeah, she's in the back." I said, "Can I talk to her?" So we go to the back, and I said, "How are you doing?" She's "Randy, I love your work. You're doing a great job." I says, "Talia called me yesterday. She's afraid I'm making you guys look bad." She says, "I'll straighten it out. You're doing a great job."
Yeah, that's great. The Neil Bogart film is near and dear to us because Casablanca Records, when it came out, they were like an outsider label and they made it huge. And we're into disco big time at our store. And
I ran discos back then. I know all about that. I ran discos in the 70s when all that went on. I was spinning.
Man, where were you doing this? In New Rochelle or where? Up in New York?
I used to work. I worked for Marty at Lollipop. Then I went to Peachtree's, and then I said to Louis, who owned Peachtree's, "I'm going to open up my own place in New Rochelle." He said, "We don't need another disco." I said, "No. I'm doing a club like that in the village. I'm doing music, live music." He said, "You're going to go broke." I lasted 7 years.
Wow, that's a long time in the club business. And your place was like CBGB's, wasn't it?
Yeah, because I would only hire original acts.
Uh-huh.
I didn't want cover bands.
Uh-huh.
And we we rotated, and I wind up bringing up legends. I brought up Harvey Brooks from Super Session. I brought up Lester Chambers from the Chambers Brothers.
Oh, that's great.
Buck Dahmer from Blue Oyster Cult used to come down. They used to come down with a different name. They used to call themselves Soft White Underbelly. I mean, we had a blast for all that time. Robert from Dylan's band used to come in. We had a blast. But the problem was, and if you see it in the play that I wrote based on that, is that there's a dark side of the club business, and the dark side is very destructive. It's almost like what happened to Christopher on The Sopranos.
Right. Well, actually, Christopher, the club he bought for Aid, that was the Crazy Horse. So I love that.
He did that for me.
Yeah, and didn't you tell me that Michael used to hang out at your place too?
Yeah, he used to come in. He lived in Mount Vernon, which was the next town over, and he used to come in. Not a lot, you know. Maddie and Kevin Dillon and Paul Dillon came in a lot because they liked that scene. But Michael would come in. I think he would come in. Basically, we used to have like jazz fusion on Thursday nights.
That's cool.
Michael would come in for that. He didn't come in for the rock bands. I remember him coming in. And then I met him on. I didn't meet him on Goodfellas. I met him on Basketball Diaries again years later.
Okay.
And then I did a movie with him called Handgun. So Michael and I started working, and then we co-starred together in Witness to the Mob, and then Sopranos, and the rest is history. So it's like full circle. Yesterday was his birthday, you know.
Oh, really? Oh, great. Okay.
Yeah, 7 o'clock in the morning, I text him, "Happy birthday, you old man."
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm up. And like, I know he wants to say, "When are you going to come see the play?" I don't want to see you yet.
That's great. Well,
wait until it kind of dies down, you know. You know, because I know theater. It don't get good until you work on it for a long time.
Right.
You know, when me and Nick Cadero were doing Bullets Over Broadway, Susan Stroman, one day I came over to, I said, "You know that scene I do with Nicky when I kind of suspect he killed my girlfriend?" He said, "Yeah." I said, "You never blocked it." She says, "Now blocking is when they tell the actors where to go." She said, "I'm not telling you guys where to go." I said, "Well, you know, it started off, I was down there, now I'm in his nose." She said, "Yeah." She said, "Woody loves it." And that's the organic process of acting.
Right.
And you take that chance.
Right.
It's like when we're doing the reading, I said to my guy, Joey, sitting next to me, I said, "When you do your scene, get up and go in the middle of this thing." He said, "Really?" I said, "Yeah, nobody's going to look at you sitting in a chair. Go up and do it." And he stole the show because he went and he performed for these people that was sitting there. And that's what it is. You put your fourth wall up, you don't see, and you perform. Same thing with, well, music, there's not a fourth wall. Music, the audience, and comedy there's no fourth wall. But in theater, there's a fourth wall.
Oh, that's interesting. That there's a distinction there with theater and not with music and comedy.
It's like, okay, right now, what's in back of me? I'm in my office. What's in front of me? Computer. But in my life, my windows are in front of me, and I'm looking out across the street to City Island Avenue, and I'm looking at the traffic. That's my fourth wall.
That's your fourth wall, yeah.
If we were doing something like on Zoom, that's my fourth wall. So when I go to class and we're doing, let's say, Death to the Salesman, and Willie Loman's talking about the yard, so I say, whoever's playing Willie, where's the yard? Out there. I said, "Where? Where is it? I want you to see it. Don't just say it's out there. I want you to see it."
Right. You know? Oh, that's good.
Sometimes actors have a problem. They said the audience distract them, and I go, "Look at the exit sign."
Oh, wow. That's great.
Play it to the exit sign. It's like if I played it like this, if I had my lines up here and I'm playing this to you, nobody knows I'm not, you know, they don't know.
Right.
That's one of the things that we do. We do, yeah.
That's fascinating.
Yeah.
Now,
so you know, it's like I try to tell people. They call me up. "We want you to do this. We want you to do this." I said, "I'm trying to slow down," and I don't think the business wants you to slow down. No, I'm really trying to slow down.
Really? It doesn't look like it. I'll tell you that much. Donning glasses and everything you're doing now.
I go to physical therapy every morning. I have a herniated disc. If I sit in a chair for more than an hour, I'm in pain. No, so I move around a lot. It's not as easy as everybody thinks it is.
Right.
You know, if I sit in the car, I was supposed to go to Asbury Park Friday night. I said, I can't sit in the car for 3 hours.
Right.
Now I'm going up to Buffalo in 2 weeks. I said, I could do Buffalo because on the way I make stops, you know? But do I want to get on a plane? No. Why? Because by the time I get off the plane, I'm hurting, man.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, from sitting in those seats.
Yeah, for sitting in those seats for hours.
So, and you can talk to your father. I mean, as you get older, you want to pick and choose.
Yeah, he's got the same back problems you do. That's true.
He does?
Yeah,
well,
he does.
Go fishing. You see, I live on an island, and everybody comes out and go fishing. And I got a fishing pond in my cellar. I haven't used it in 2 years, and I could go around the corner and go fishing, you know? Gee. So this is what I'm trying to do with my life right now.
I'll tell you, you're doing great. And I want to talk to you about something we mentioned. You mentioned earlier, Goodfellas. Now that is beyond a classic. I mean, I don't even have much interest in popular film. Like you look at, there's a list Marty had of his top 20 films, and I've only seen half of them. They're really obscure. They're really good. But Goodfellas, when that thing comes on, you're glued. It's like a magnet. You cannot get away from it. And one of the best scenes. I mean, like the way he put those scenes together, the Copa scene, everyone talks about in one take. He sweeps through and Henry Hill goes through all that.
Right.
And then the beauty shop scene, it's like a symphony. There's two women talking and then 3 over here, and it comes out musically. But the bamboo lounge scene, now that scene is a classic for so many reasons. And it comes on and they're playing In Cielo Una Stanza, one of the most beautiful songs of all time from 1960, pure raw poetry, amazing long love song sung by La Voce, Mina Mazzini. I just love her. But then they introduced the crew, you know, Anthony Stabile and Frankie Carbone, Fat Andy, Jimmy two times, and of course, Mikey Franchise. You were on his podcast a while ago. But then it goes to you at the very end, and they call you Vinny. Ray Liotta's like, come on, Vinny, with the coats.
Vinny, they're going to be out of style by the time you get this thing going. Come on, lift it up. Lift it. There you go. That's it. Watch the wall. Watch. Come out, Vinny.
What is this? Coats? Henry, I need suits, Henry, not coats.
Suits are coming Thursday.
I know, but this is the middle of fucking summer. What am I going to do with fur coats?
Oh, you don't want furs? I'll take the furs.
No. Take them away. I want them. You know what we do? We'll hang them in the freezer with the meat. How's that?
That was filmed at the Hawaii Kai in 1989, and that's a menu.
We used to go up there for our prom.
Really? Oh, wow.
Yeah. That's on top. That was on top of the Winter Garden.
Yes. Yeah. Broadway and 50th.
And my trailer, all the trailers were going down Broadway.
Wow.
My trailer was across the street. I never forget because I shot my scene in the morning and I was leaving and the PA said, they said you could stick around and watch the other scene. So I watched Tony Darrow get beat up with the bottle. I watched that whole and then I went downstairs and I got on the phone and the next thing I know, I'm working on Awakening.
Oh, wow. Wow.
And Bobby saw me and he gave me an upgrade. He gave me a contract, him and Penny Marshall.
Oh, my gosh.
People don't understand. I mean, a lot of people don't like De Niro. People don't understand how Bobby, he takes care of his friend.
Right, that's
great. And he helped me so much. Whenever he has a reading for investors, this is true. I would get a phone call from Georgianne Walker, no matter where I am. She said, Bobby needs you to read. I have read so many scripts with De Niro for investors. And then I go home and I say, well, I didn't get the part. And then I say to myself, well, that's not what he wants you for. He wants you to help him read his script.
Wow.
That's not what he wants you for. And then I kind of figured it out. That when I go and sit with De Niro, see how close I am into you with the screen? I'm as close to Bobby as that.
Wow.
And I'm next to him. And I read with him. And I did the same thing for Analyze This and Analyze That. And Avenging Angelo. And we did many scripts. We did readings. And he appreciates that. And I appreciate what he did for me. Case closed.
Wow.
You know? I'll tell you something. He was
Yeah.
shooting. He was shooting Bronx still. He was the director.
Mm.
He was shooting on Arthur Avenue. They were shooting in Queens. And Sylvia called me up. She was the first AD, and she said, Sylvia Caminez, she said, "What are you doing?" I was home. I was right here.
Uh-huh.
Why? She said, "We got a problem. Can you get out to the set?" And I said, "Yeah." And I had already had gone on an interview with Bobby, and I handed him a tape that I did with Ted Demi, and he said, "What's this?" I said, "Look at the tape." And he said to me, "I can't use you. You were in Goodfellas." He told me that
Oh,
right there.
wow, really?
You want nobody from Goodfellas. You see,
Wow.
Joe DiMaggio was an exception. A couple of guys were exceptions, but
Uh-huh.
he didn't. So what
Wow.
happened? I went out to the set, and the bartender had a heart attack.
Oh my gosh.
If you look at it, it's the scene when Chazz sits down with Lilo, interior bar, and he says, "Is it better to be loved or feared?" And the only other person in that scene was me.
Okay.
So after I wrapped, I walked out, and Bobby said, "Thanks for me, thanks for me, thanks for helping us out." And I went back to my trailer, and Sylvia came up and she said, "Bobby doesn't want you to go home. He wants you to do stand-in work for Clem." I was there till 2 o'clock in the morning,
Wow.
and that's the business. It's like Chazz. I used to
Uh-huh.
go to Chazz at Belmont Theater and audition. Now I'm working with Chazz on Gravesend. He's a sweetheart. He's the best. He's one
Yeah.
of the best actors out there.
Right.
So think about the cycle that you go through. It's like me and Almano Sante. We did Gotti. Now we got another movie out there. Just won the Garden State Film Festival, Don Q. It's a cycle.
Uh-huh.
It's a cycle. Me and Michael, me and Sirico, me and Sirico. Me and Sirico used to do off-Broadway plays. Me, him, and Frank
Wow.
Vincent. Out at
Wow.
the West Bank.
That's
you
great.
know, and we stuck it out, and people ask me, what am I proud of? And I say, well, my legacy, because if anything, forget about the bad. The good is that we got some good product out there. And hey, a lot of my actors come to my class. I said, why are you here? Well, I wanted to work with the Sopranos. I said, well, you're not going to get on the Sopranos with me. It's like that image. But then they realize that that's not who I am. It's
Right.
not who Jim was. It's
Right.
not who Federico.
Right.
It's
Right.
not who Mike is.
Right.
We're not those guys.
Yeah, I'm glad.
There's an article on Facebook that said my uncle was a white guy. What uncle? I don't know what you're talking about.
Your dad worked at what, the Italian American Club?
Daddy worked in Yonkers, New York, Phillips Dodge, 8 in the morning to 5 o'clock. He'd come home. We were living on top of a social club
Right.
in
Right.
Nourishville. But by the time he came home, me and my brother came out of school and we already cleaned the club.
Uh-huh.
We used to go down and clean the club after school. And I learned a lot from cleaning the club because I actually had under the steps, I had a little clubhouse for me and I had a hole. And I used to peek in and see the boat. So I the club. What happened is that somebody from the club ratted on my father and said he doesn't clean downstairs. The kids do. So they told us to move, and we had no place to go. That's a true story, man.
Wow.
We had no place to go. And I wound up joining the Navy.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah. I went away for 4 years and I came home and my life was different,
Right.
But, we didn't have easy times. I never forget when, and I loved my father so much. He was so supportive of me being an actor,
Uh-huh.
that he was in a home over in New Rochelle. He was on his last legs, and I would go see him, and he would say, they want an autograph. Make sure you bring your pictures. I said, what are you doing? He says, my son's famous. And he had pictures hanging all over the place of me. And he said, stop. He was proud of me.
Wow.
Yeah, he was
That's
proud
great.
of me.
That's great.
Yeah. But my mother never saw me do any movies. Mommy never saw me do movies. You know how I got Goodfellas? I was trying to tell you this before. When I was running my club,
Uh-huh.
I used to work for Tommy Mottola,
Yes,
Champion
yeah,
Records.
you told me. Yeah, I remember you telling me about that.
57th Street. I used to go down with Stormy. We used to get the money from Brian Doyle and go out to the concerts and pay the guys because, hey, you know it, the musicians want cash.
Right.
Okay. So what happened is Aki, who was Anthony Agavino, he was the drum tech for Hall & Oates. Okay?
Uh-huh.
He was dating Ellen Lewis at the time, who was casting Goodfellas.
Oh, wow.
I get a phone call to come in to 137 West 57th Street, but not to the fourth floor where Tommy was, to the seventh floor where Juliette Lewis casting and Ellen was.
Uh-huh.
And I walked in. She says, I saw you in True Love. Anthony and I saw you in True Love. You're great. And
Wow.
she hit sides.
Uh-huh.
Then she gave me a call back. And I was sitting at Warner Brothers in the hallway. Tony Darrow was in, and she came out and she said, he's going to give Sonny Bamboo to Tony, but he's going to put you in the movie. And that was the first time I worked with Tony Darrow. And that was the first time I worked with Ray. I wound up doing Revolver with Ray Liotta.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Revolver, right.
Co-starring with Ray. Me and Tony worked together all the time. So Ellen called it. Ellen Lewis, God bless her. She called it.
Well, you know, there's something I want to put up. Another thing on Goodfellas, we're going to put it up on the screen. In the scene you're in, right across from you, tacked to the wall was this. It was the drink menu and the other menu, and it was kind of open like that. You'll see it. We'll put it on the screen, that screenshot from the film. But that's a piece of old Goodfellas history.
But that's what we went for our senior prom.
Wow, that's cool. I mean, that place was magnificent from what I've seen in pictures.
Yeah. Wow. Now it's not there no more. Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
Wow. So it was Matt Dillon over at the Crazy Horse.
Well, yeah, everybody gets it wrong. Maddie, Kevin, and Paul, they lived in Mamaroneck. They used to come to my club. They loved it. They loved the vibe and everything. What happened is, if you read my play, I lost the Crazy Horse, and then I went on my own. But in real life, I went over to North Avenue near Iona College and opened up another venue. And it wasn't doing that well. Anyway, I get a phone call from Kevin's girlfriend at the time, and she said, we're all at the funeral parlor. Somebody from the family died. We want to come over and hang out. I said, tell everybody to come over. I'm going to lock the doors. So they all came over, and we locked the doors. And I said to Maddie and Kevin, what do you want to do? Let's watch something. I said, I got Pope of Greenwich Village here, and I put it in on my VCR. And we were sitting at the front at the bar, and Maddie's family was in the back, and I had food being catered and everything, and I was trying to cheer everybody up. So we're watching Pope of Greenwich Village, and it's the scene when Frank Vincent and they had Eric Roberts up against the fence, and they were going to cut his thumb off. And Maddie hit me in the arm. He said, you could start doing that. And I was already doing a lot of community theater. I said, Maddie, I never wanted to bug you guys. Leaned over, and he looked at Kevin, and he said, why don't you hook him up with your manager, Charlie Massey, who would love to see Vinny. And Kevin said, and I didn't think about it.
Wow.
So about 3 days go by, and I'm mopping the floor in my bar because I was doing good. The phone rings. It was a payphone. It was Kevin. He said, Vinny, I'm heading to Toronto. I forgot to tell you, you have an appointment with Charlie Massey down at 10 Astor Place today at 1 o'clock. I said, why? So I called up. I didn't even have a car. I was broke. I called up the care company, and I said, take me to my house, take me in the city, wait for me, and take me home. So when I went up, the guy said to me, Charlie Massey, let me see your headshot. I said, I don't have a headshot. Let me see your resume. I don't have a resume. What are you doing here? I said, Kevin said I should come see you. And he looked up a resume and headshot. He says, I got all these guys ahead of you that I could give job. Why should I do a favor for you? I says, I don't know what's going on here. And I went home and I was depressed. So Kevin called me up. He said, how'd you make out? I said, I blew it. He says, no, they're going to give you an appointment again next month. Learn a monologue and get some pitches together.
Wow.
So I go a month later, and Charlie said, I want you to go across the street to NYU and start doing student film.
Wow. And it was just natural for you then. Wow.
Well, when you grow up watching The Godfather and every crime movie ever made, Jimmy Cagney, Humphrey Bogart,
Edward G. Robinson.
you can't wait to do that stuff.
Yeah.
You know, I never forget when The Godfather came out. I was playing records at the Lollipop. It was in the 70s. I put a tape on, and it was a midnight showing of The Godfather. I says, I'm putting the tape on. And I went up the corner, and I watched The Godfather, and I says, I want to... See, that was the first time that they started using Italian-American actors to play mafia characters. Come on. I mean, Jimmy Conte didn't go and blah, blah, blah. But they even say in The Offer, the story of Albert Ruddy said that they were using Kirk Douglas and Paul Mooney and these guys. Italian. He wasn't Italian. When De Niro walks in and Pacino walks in, bada bing.
Yeah. Yeah, it's commandeering. I mean, that's funny. You're right.
What inspired me, we were doing community theater at the church that I was involved with, and Rocky opened up around the corner. And I never forget, I was married at the time, and I took my wife to see Rocky, and I came out and I said, that's it. And I went and I lost 50 pounds to get a part in this play around the corner to play an officer in the Navy. And I had a washboard stomach.
Wow.
And once I went into Stallone, I said, you inspired me. I looked, you know, and that's what it is.
Oh, that's great.
You know, so I did South Pacific. Now, where did they get me? Well, they wanted me eventually open up my club, but I had some theater background. You know?
Right.
But you don't know. You don't know what's around the corner in this business. You don't know.
Hey, yeah. Well, in your play, Frankie didn't know, and I love that the wise guy was named Carmine. That's like a nod to the Lupertazzi family in Sopranos, which I kind of favored those guys.
I named that because there was a real guy named Carmine Smash. That's why. Smash. I didn't name it after the.
No. But it's funny.
You want to story about Carmine Smash? You're going to get me in trouble. When I was in the Navy, I came home on a weekend pass, and Carmine had a bar in New Rochelle on the corner. It was called a Gay Dome, and I went in there, and there was a big fight. So they threw us out. It was me, my friend Dennis, and his wife, and I called up my brother, and I called up everybody from the football team, and they come over, and we went in through the door, and we wrecked the place. And what happened is in the play, Carmine says, yeah, I remember. You remember when he wrecked my bar? He thinks payback's a bitch. He always had that vendetta in his head.
Yeah, the vendetta, yeah.
Even. And in the play, we see he gets even. He wants to take the place away from him. But yes, there really was a Carmine Smash.
Wow, that's great.
You know? And I'm not talking bad about it because I don't need anything to happen.
Right.
You know, I know he operated out of New Rochelle and he worked for Terry.
Okay. You got so much stuff going on. It's great. I love.
You know, listen. Don't go out there and pitch. Vinny's available for it. Vinny is not available for it. Vinny is trying to retire before. I don't know what. You know, it's. Listen, I don't want to get into it.
Gotcha.
I'm trying to. That's right.
Listen, it's been great talking though, and thanks for sharing all this stuff. It's so interesting and fascinating. I really respect your career.
My dream before they put me in a box is for my play, The Crazy Horse, to be as big as Alicia Keys' play right now. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah, great. Yeah.
And I worked on a play written by Burt Burns, Piece of My Heart, all about Burt Burns. And I'm watching this play, and I said, the music great, but where's the conflict? Where is the conflict? The conflict in my story is that this guy is weak. He becomes weak because he's trying to get his wife back. He's trying to prove to her. And when he realizes she ain't coming back no more, he listens to Johnny Rock. Johnny Rock is the devil.
Right.
He's the devil. He keeps handing him cocaine.
Right. Yeah.
That's the devil. And
Yeah.
people
It was his downfall was terrible.
but listen, that was 40 years ago, and I'm not doing bad.
Right. No, that's great. It's terrific.
Okay.
And thanks so much for talking. It's been wonderful.
Yeah,
look
let
forward
me
to seeing what you-
send me a copy of this.
Absolutely.
These are people out of Baltimore. Pastore's Deli out of Baltimore.
Oh, nice. Yeah, Pastore's Italian Deli. Nice.
Baltimore, yeah. So I really appreciate this. This was nice. Tonight's why I want to wish you a happy holiday. Stay in touch, and maybe we can do another one like a few months from now.
Oh, that'd be terrific.